Hello, I'm Fedra Jocelyn Castillo. I'm going to be doing my interview essay regarding the practices of trauma and social development. Interview introduction. I had the pleasure to interview Mrs. McCoy, which is a counselor of mine of the district that I work for. She sees pre-K 3 all the way to 8th grade, so she handles both primary and secondary. She's worked in this specific campus that I work for 4 years. She had a transition from teacher to counselor, and she supports teachers, staff, and students. The purpose of the context of the interview is that the reason I chose her is because she primarily focused in the social emotional learning, needs of attachment, trauma, behavioral also. Not only that, I have also seen this face-to-face when it comes to lunch duty. Love her for that. Another thing is that how did this help me further my understanding? Interviewing Mrs. McCoy helped me further expand and understand multiple ways of how trauma could also show up, and also how I could do as a future teacher to respond to those types of traumas. Now, how does trauma show up? Out of all of the key concepts that Mrs. McCoy showed me, 2 stuck with me. So, hypervigilant students, these are students that are hyper aware within their surroundings and are very careful. Withdrawn students, students that often don't interact or put their head down in various situations. What teachers must understand about trauma. So, what can trauma affect? We know that trauma can affect the control of memory, emotional regulation, also the importance of regulation and safety. And then behavior-wise, not to take things personal and not to take things intentionally as well with the interaction of students. Historical trauma in community, to understand the importance of culture, humility, and communicate with families. Trauma usually comes from broken homes, poverty, abuse. Students may potentially know how to students may not know how to potentially express themselves. Okay. Escalating. There is a difference with escalating and de-escalating. That's one of the things that I have learned as well. You could always change a student's mood by how you go about with the situation. That being an example of escalating, raising your voice, sarcasm, lack of connection, and repeated commands. Now, for de-escalating would be using a softer tone, give them space, but don't not completely abandon them, validating their feelings, and providing choices. Now, under building safe relationships with students, we have to listen without judgment. We have to also remain calm for the student to not make them panic, reassure them, and also let them know that they are valued. When to seek additional support. This would involve intervening when emotional and behavioral issues come up and you are unable to do it by yourself. Also noticing signs of home situations like any type of abuse, then you would have to contact counselors or admin. If something doesn't feel right, also that's noticing signs. And reinforcing CEL strategies. Some attachment styles that I actually got to further understand was the secure attachment. This is when the child feels safe and independent. They're able to do stuff themselves. Insecure attachment, that would most likely be shown in clinginess and avoidance. Disorganized attachment, this often relates to trauma. Now, some personal insights. I know that I wrote a lot, but I'm going to just summarize. This interview shaped me to further investigate, educating myself within the student, not only realizing what they may be going through, but also the early signs. Something I've learned was that With him speaking, you may be using your authoritative voice a lot. With this type of situation, if a kid is having behavioral issues or any trauma response, you have to use a softer tone. Some styles that I have also learned about that would be really manageable and help my kids lead to that would be the secure, safety, because students will feel safe and they'll grow independently, not really rely on you. And then one thing that surprised me was that there was a specific word for the opposite of withdrawing, which is hypervigilance. I didn't know that was a word for it. Future practice strategies that I would plan ahead to apply with trauma and force strategies are having a calming corner so the student could cool off. I would build safe relationships in my classroom by being there for the student and giving a shoulder to cry on if need be. And I will communicate with families. And then times of extra support I will seek when needed. That is it for my presentation. Thank you.